Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the scrutinization of the 8th house. Like the way guys, whenever we talk about planets placed in the 8th house, a lot many people look at that planet like with a biased mindset, like with a degree and sense of discrimination. Oh my god, this planet of yours has got a rulership over these houses. Now it has gone to the 8th house. That means all of the attributes of those houses are now screwed in your life. But is that true? Now what makes me say that? So, and one more thing, the backstory for selecting this topic today. So yes guys, you know this thing that today at a time when I am recording this video, transiting moon is in the Scorpio, and even Mercury is kind of afflicted, conjunct with Rahu, debilitated. So you come across and you surround yourself by the energies of that only. When I was at Bharti Vidya Bhuvan, so because if you go to any circle where like there is a mutual appreciation and taste for astrology, you will definitely come across many people with their prominent planets placed in the 8th house. Or let's say for example, someone who has come to you as a client for consultation, and that person is going back to back unending kind of problems. There also you will find the prominence of the 8th house or dasha of a planet which is placed in the 8th house. So definitely guys, when it comes down to the scrutinization of the 8th house, there are like many attributes which you have to take into consideration. What if a planet is placed in the 8th house but it is debilitated? What if a planet is placed in the 8th house but it is exalted, it is in the Mool Trikona sign? And moreover, the house lord, what is the state and condition of the 8th house lord? Is the attributes of your life is going to, or your life journey is going to be smooth if the 8th lord is going to be weak or the 8th lord is going to be strong? All of that we will try to understand in this video. So guys, why to go very far? Like I will give you a very basic example or reference of 6th house as well, which is also considered as one of the Dushtana Bhava. So we know this thing that 6th house which tells about the concerns on the account of your health, like diseases, we see enemies, and we see all the concerns of credit, loans and debts from over here. Now what does it mean? See, if you have, and why we say this thing that planet like Mars and Saturn is considered as very strong if placed in the 6th house. So that in itself means that understand it in a very simpler language, that the strength of the 6th lord will tell about the strength of the disease or strength of the enemy. But the planet placed in the 6th house will tell about your fighting spirit to deal with these problems. And that is the only reason planet like Mars and Saturn, Rahu, like Sun, they are considered as strong whenever they are placed in like 6th house, which is also called as the Upacha Bhav. So if you have planets being well placed over here in the 6th house, it is not a major concern. So in short, the summary is planets placed in the 6th house has to be stronger than the 6th lord. Now coming to the 8th house. So guys, before we will get into this discussion between the Bhav, house and the house lord, let's first try to understand the attributes of the 8th house. Now we all know this thing that 8th house in one word is the house of secrets. It is the house of transformation, scandals, psychology, all sort of unearned income. Like when we talk about which all entities or elements can turn around your life in a very short span of time. So out of all the planets, Rahu holds this key and a strengthened 8th house holds this key. Along with that guys, this is a very important house for people who are working as a psychologist, scientist, innovators, all those professions where you have to deal with the matters of life and death. All the attributes of spirits, paranormal activities, psychology, operations, surgery, all these attributes are somehow connected with the 8th house. So the vulnerable side of the 8th house is, this is also the house of defamation, this is the house of scandal, this is the house of all sort of taboo desires and unhealthy desires, unspoken emotions, some sort of trauma, psychological problems and all of that is connected with the 8th house. Now when we talk about the good attributes of the 8th house, so definitely guys, we all want to live long. So this is the house of longevity. This is the only house which will ensure that you will live long enough. Second thing is, I always say this thing that 8th house is the house of miracles. Like all those saints and holy people, spiritually elevated people who have done like miracles in the world. You cannot say that it only happened because of the 9th house. 9th house is the house of following the dharma in a very prescribed way, but the magic and miracles connected with it is somehow connected with the 8th house. Now again guys, it all comes down to individual. Like the way we say this thing in Hindi, haath ki safai, the magic tricks of the magicians are also seen from the 8th house. But yes, these all are the sort of powers which are connected with the 8th house, and all those things which somehow kind of makes us fearful. All those attributes and entities and activities are somehow connected with the 8th house. You cannot say this thing that okay, this person is a former Navy SEAL, he will be fearless about anything. Deep inside there is something which we are hiding from the world, which we are fearful about, and all those fears are connected with the 8th house. So guys, this is about the good and bad side about the 8th house. Now if you have to understand the importance of the 8th house lord, so like the way guys I mentioned this thing when we were taking up the example of the 6th house, that planets in the 6th house have to be strengthened and powerful compared to the 6th lord. Same like dictum or principle gets valid in the case of the 8th house as well. If you have planets which are very well placed in the 8th house and they are stronger than the 8th house lord, it is a much more sigh of relief. Let me give you a very simple example. Let's say for example, for a Gemini Lagna, you will find that Mars is not a very favorable planet for them, but Mars is somehow exalted in the 8th house, and the lord of the 8th, which becomes the planet Saturn, it is debilitated in the 11th house. Trust me, this is one such combination which I have seen in the chart of people in the scientific field or people who are working in law, army, military, intelligence, being very fearless. The thing is that no matter what sort of challenge, unknown kind of situation life throws at them, they know how to deal with it. So they're always a step ahead than the actual problem which the 8th lord would have otherwise created. So this is how you have to see, and you have to deal with the energies of the Dushtana Bhava or the malefic houses. More than the strength of the lord, the planets being placed over there have to be strengthened over there. And that is the only reason guys, like all those people who are who fall in the constructive side of the energies of the 8th house, like your ascendant lord is exalted in the 8th house, you being a Sagittarius Lagna, your ascendant lord Jupiter is exalted here, or you being a Libra Lagna, your ascendant lord is strengthened in the 8th house, or Aries Lagna, your ascendant lord Mars is strengthened in the 8th house. So all what matters is that in one aspect or other aspect, you should be utilizing the energy of the 8th house. So let's say for example, being a Libra Lagna, you have your Venus well placed in the 8th house. So no matter even if you are an investment banker, you are a surgeon, you are a doctor, but do something which is very occult driven, astrology driven on the side. This way you will be honoring the energy of the 8th house energy, because somehow your ascendant lord is placed over there, your 10th lord is placed over there, your 2nd lord is placed over there. Then that means you cannot overlook the importance of this house. You have to constructively utilize the energy of this house. So okay guys, now in the rest of the video, what we will try to do is that we will try to understand that out of all the 9 planets, what is going to be the outcome or behavior of a planet if that planet is going to be strengthened or weak in the 8th house. So guys, over here it hardly matters that which ascendant you have got or in which zodiac sign a planet is placed over here. We will be just trying to looking at it in this way, that a planet is considered as strong, like if it is placed in the sign of its exaltation, in the friendly sign, very good friend, Mool Trikona sign, in its own house and all. So that will be categorized and considered as, for the sake of discussion, that the planet is well placed over here. Now guys, I know this thing that for the Gemini Lagna, Mars is not a favorable planet. For the Libra Lagna, Jupiter is not a favorable planet. So right now, do not be in this biased mindset. All what matters right now is to understand the difference that planets placed in the 8th house, if strengthened, they can also manifest good results, unless and until they are more powerful than the 8th lord, because 8th lord will tell about the strength and the power of the traumatic events in your life. But if the planet placed in the 8th house is stronger than that, then whatsoever change life will bring to you, you will be put forth in a better state after that change, after that like I would say the cyclone of the change or transformation in your life. So okay guys, let's first start with the planet sun. So if you have sun being strengthened, placed in the 8th house, very first thing which we get to know about it, that see guys, when we talk about all those people who are always behind the scene running the shots, like the way, for example, there was a time when in UPA was in the power, Sonia Gandhi was not elected, but she was running the government from behind the scene. This could be a case of, like, when we talk about all those major production houses and directors who are responsible for the big success of the film. Or let's say, for example, 8th house is the house of secrecy, and all those people who are a part of the covert activities for the government. So this is what you are doing. You are indulging in something which is very dark, which is very secretive, but you are doing it as a sense of your duty to your nation, for your country. So this is how you can see a strengthened sun in the 8th house. But now guys, let's say, for example, if sun is going to be a weak, being placed in the 8th house, then we all know this thing that native might have a weak body vitality related issue, eyesight related issue, heart related, bones related issue. Or this could be a case that, see, you are born with this placement. Now you might have like structured your life in a way that you are following a very righteous life, but because of the past life karma, you still might have to deal with, you know, those kind of false allegations for the things you are being accused of, which you have not even done. Now guys, when we talk about moon, now if you will find moon to be strengthened in the 8th house, so guys, definitely this just tells about that intuitive aspect of the native is going to be very strong. Like the way I always say this thing, that when we talk about all those politicians and all those like kind of saints and holy figures, like whether you can take it in a positive stance or a negative stance, who have got this power to affect the collective psychology of the masses. Somehow you will find that their moon is going to be strengthened in the 8th house. They know about the collective psychology, the pulse of the masses, and this is what they use. For good or for bad, that is a different case altogether. But yes, moon being placed in the 8th house, it is strengthened. It can make you a very good psychologist, it can make you a very good healer, it will make you very intuitive, and along with that, all the aspect of, you know, joint resources getting benefited because of that. And if moon is, let's say for example, it is placed in the, you are a Libra Lagna and moon is exalted in the 8th house, so many lottery wins and all, so a lot of that can be anticipated. And along with that, because you are a Libra Lagna, moon becomes your like 10th house lord as well. So even at your career front as well, you might be dealing with some large sum of money in a very secretive way, lottery wins and all of that can be anticipated. Now guys, when we talk about moon being afflicted in the 8th house, is not a good energy at all. We know this thing that, you know, obsession, mental hysteria, psychological problem, obsession for wrong things, unhealthy things and all, and having a very fearful personality, like trust issue and all is generally seen if moon is going to be afflicted in the 8th house. Strong karma which you have to deal with through meditation, yoga and Dev Bhakti and unconditional charities and service to the humanity. Now guys, if you will find Mars to be strengthened in the 8th house, so yes guys, we all know this thing that 8th house tells about all those activities which somehow scares us. And if you have Mars being a very ferocious planet, if it is exalted in the 8th house, native is going to be not fearful of anything in the life. Like they will say that generally normal people, you see cut, you see blood, you see wounds, you see two people fighting, it somehow, you know, creates that jittery feeling inside of you. But someone who has got a very strengthened Mars in the 8th house, native will have an upper edge over all these things. Like native will have a strong control over any of those primal instincts. Intuitive aspect is also going to be strong. Many people say that Mars strengthened in the 8th house is a typical yoga which can make someone a good tantric as well. So many things can be foreseen. Yes, you can be a very good surgeon, you can be a very good psychologist, you can be a very good therapist, you can be a very good healer, and like people who become successful lawyers, cop and all can be foreseen. If you have Mars afflicted in the 8th house, beyond doubt it will make you very accident prone. I remember there was a show I used to watch in DuckTales. as a kid, Launchpad was one of the character who's always, you know, crashing his helicopter. So something like that. So 8th house afflicted Mars makes you very accident, cut prone. And along with that, guys, you might have very difficult karma to deal with on the account of friends, on the account of siblings. You might have to bear the responsibility of the sibling, family and all, without being given the due credit for your sacrifices, your contribution for the family. Now guys, if you have Mercury in the 8th house and if it is strengthened, definitely guys, all those people who generally deal with the, you know, they work as an accountant, deal with the large sum of money, but all those money which is undisclosed. So those kind of, you know, managing those sum of money and having that strong intuitive aspect, that what is the pulse of the masses, what is going on in the trend, how to make the right investments at the right time, and how to psychologically influence people, control people, how to make use the right words in order to control the people and all. So generally regarding that front, 8th house Mercury strengthened is a good combination. Now guys, if you will find Mercury to be afflicted in the 8th house, it is not a good sign. Like it's a typical combination of, you know, criminal tendencies, people who end up doing the job of scamming people, doing it as their livelihood. Again guys, a lot is dependent in astrology. One planetary alignment cannot be used as a one line of prediction. I'm just giving you a vague idea. Now definitely it all comes down to that how strong Mercury is over here. Like let's say for example, you being a Virgo Lagna, your ascendant lord is there in the 8th house. Now this Mercury will not be considered as good in the 8th house, in the enemy sign of Aries, like of Mars. So it is not considered as good. And overall planets like Saturn is aspecting it, Moon is also afflicted, then definitely any astrologer will say the same thing. So yes guys, 8th house Mercury, and also it can also give rise to anxiety, nervousness, hysteria, so lot many things, skin related problem and all. Now guys, when we talk about Jupiter being placed in the 8th house, so yes guys, like the way we always say this thing, that Jupiter being placed in the 8th house is a good combination for people who will take lot of interest in like tantra, mantra, religious austerities and all. Jupiter being placed in the 9th house, all what you need to do is that just being in the service of the god. Any other thing does not matter to you. But when we talk about Jupiter being placed in the 8th house, definitely native will give attention to wearing the right gemstone, right kind of, you know, keeping the right yantra, doing the vastu, and giving attention to detail for all these things. And native could be a very good astrologer as well. He could be very good in the investment banking and all, having strong intuition, some sort of, you know, siddhi with him if he is dedicated, devoted to a spiritual lifestyle and all. So overall, Jupiter being strong in the 8th house is a good sign. And guys, let's say for example, if Jupiter is going to be afflicted in the 8th house, definitely guys, this is a typical combination where you will be misled by the people a lot. You will be mentored by questionable people a lot in the life, like a lot of tendency and capacity to being radicalized, being put forth in the wrong direction, and all the karak tattva of the Jupiter. Jupiter is a Jeev Karaka, it's a planet of expansion, so expansion of problems, or we can say this in that it hardly matters which planet is your 5th lord or your 7th lord. Individually, Jupiter represents your marital life. Individually, Jupiter represents the happiness on the account of children. Those attributes might suffer if Jupiter is afflicted in the 8th house of problems. Now guys, when we talk about Venus, now if you will have Venus which is very strengthened in the 8th house, so again guys, we all know this thing that strengthened Venus in the 8th house will make you lucky enough for sudden unpredictable financial gains in the life, gains through the joint resources, gains through your spouse as well. And again guys, when we talk about a bhog vilas, like a very luxurious, comfortable, passionate, sensual life, so see, 8th house is a secretive house. These people will have some sort of secretive desires and all, which they will not be expressing it in front of the world. But again, if Venus is strengthened over here, definitely there is no harm in that. Native will know the boundaries and he will have a very comfortable, enjoyable life in all aspects. Now the problem only comes when you will find Venus to be afflicted here, and let's say for example Rahu is conjunct with it, Mars is aspecting it, then it becomes a problem that the desire goes so high that native will not even respect or honor any society created boundaries. Along with that, very taboo desires, very animalistic desires and all, and tendency to see Venus in a dignified state, honor the decorum of relationship. But if Venus is going to be afflicted in the 8th house, native will only use his relations in order to exploit, in order to take advantage. And again guys, when we talk about, like even at work, like 8th house is the house of sexuality. Venus in the 8th house afflicted will also tell about that people who are ready to do anything, even at their work front. They just want to have that promotion, they just want to reach that position. Even if they have to compromise on anything, they will be very much willing towards it. Now guys, when we talk about planet Saturn, so again Saturn is a karaka significator of the 8th house. In any case, in a nutshell, the mere placement of the planet Saturn in the 8th house is considered as good. It will give you long life, it will give you gain on the joint resources, and a strong potential and capacity that your contribution to the world will be remembered long after when you will be gone. Now guys, when we talk about Saturn to be in a strengthened state in the 8th house, it is considered as good in this regard that, let's say for example, when we talk about anything to do with the matters of the psychology, with the matters of the research, exploration, astrology and all, the matters of life and death, tantra, mantra, native could be very expert in all these fields. Like native will know how to honor the omens and have that understanding of the secret functioning of the universe, the true principles on which the life works, like the principle of the karma. You go to any psychologist, he will not tell you about that. But if you go to any spiritually elevated guru, he will look at your face and he will start telling it, okay, you are going through all these problems because of the deeds you have done. And he will have this capacity, your guru, not only to show you the deeds of yours in this life, but 2-3 lifetime back as well. So that is the strengthened Saturn in the 8th house. A weak Saturn in the 8th house, definitely questionable morals and too many, see, Saturn afflicted in the 8th house or the 12th house is a typical combination of Karavas Yoga, imprisonment yoga, false allegations, problems, and like all those people who are like from one problem their life goes into another problem. So before, the problem was that native was not able to get married, God forbid it happened, but now they have, like, the marriage is not getting along well, or they got a child who has got some autism or some kind of issues and all. So again, 8th house and Saturn is a very slow moving planet. So if their Saturn is afflicted in the 8th house, can actually create problems which do not just go away. They just change faces, change their form, but they don't go away. So again, afflicted Saturn in the 8th house will need lot of work from your end, discipline, charity, seva, religious austerities, very strong, cleansing of the karma is needed if Saturn is afflicted in the 8th house. Now guys, when we talk about Rahu, definitely Rahu in the 8th house can make you a very good manipulator for your own good. Rahu knows how to handle the collective emotions. Rahu over here can become very intuitive as well. It can also make you a pioneer, like in certain things which the world has not seen before. And again guys, because when we talk about a person being ruled by the Rahu, and that too from the 8th house, so this is going to be something which is going to be very unorthodox. Like something like, let's say for example, you come from a very traditional community, you are world known, but for something which defies your culture, something like that sort of image. But yes, from the wealth point of view, intuitive aspect point of view, this is a good combination. Now if Rahu is going to be afflicted in the 8th house, so definitely guys, criminal tendencies, problems on the account of the joint resources. And again guys, because Rahu is a very schemer, manipulator planet, so whatsoever is going to happen, it might happen because of your own greed only. So you might try to usurp the resources which do not belong to you, rightfully belong to you, which will snowball into some more problems and all. So this is how we can see an afflicted Rahu in the 8th house. And again guys, I always say this thing, that the problems which comes from the 8th house, they are very paranormal in nature as well, spirit related problems and all. So that is more of the domain of the Ketu being afflicted in the 8th house. But even with the Rahu being placed over there, we say this thing, that you are very prone towards getting that evil eye. So if you have an afflicted Rahu in the 8th house, never ever reveal your plans to everyone before even manifesting them. Now guys, when we talk about Ketu being placed in the 8th house, if Ketu is going to be strengthened in the 8th house, So definitely guys, you will have a very strong instincts, strong intuitive powers. You can become a very good surgeon, you can become a very good doctor, you can become a very good healer as well. And if Ketu is going to be afflicted in the 8th house, this is not a good combination. And we generally say this thing, that be aware of not going too close to the nature. Like all those people, like the way, for example, it happened this couple of months back only. So after such a scorching heat for so many weeks, the weather became little bit better. So many people headed for the mountains, from Delhi I'm talking about, and there was a landslide, and for 2-3 days people were stuck in the traffic in their cars. So if you have Ketu in the 8th house afflicted, we generally say this thing, that any adventure sport, staying and going too close to the nature, testing it, playing with it, is a matter of concern for lot many people who have got Ketu afflicted in the 8th house. And again, spirit related problem, paranormal problem and all. So again, those who have Ketu strengthened in the 8th house, they will command over it, they will gain because of it. Omens will guide them, and those who have afflicted Ketu in the 8th house, they will be a victim of all these things. So yes guys, this is something which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For furthermore updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram account. Dhanyavad.